have a lot of energy running through my body right now. I just hit send on an email that felt really, really vulnerable to hit send on. It's with a person who has been pretty deeply involved in my life. It's somebody who who entered into a really sacred space in my life that's held with a few other, a small number of other people. And it's a space of just complete vulnerability is the intention that I hold for it, and that's how I show up there. It's a space that I lean into to share my deepest stuff, my deepest challenges, the deepest pains that I'm working through, and to be loved and held through it all. And this particular person exited this space a while back, about 6 months ago, and there's something about it that never sat quite right with me. It's like my intuition was saying something, and by my intuition saying something, I mean that it hurt. There were little things that this person had said, mostly toward the end of their time in this space, and those little things like stuck in me, and they kept looping around and around and around in my head. And one thing that I am so good at is gaslighting myself. Raise your hand if you're good at gaslighting yourself. If you're good at taking the intuitions that are happening in your body, anger that you're experiencing, pain that you're experiencing, sadness, like whatever the feeling inside of your body, and making it all about you. I make it all about me. I make it mean that, oh, this is just my wounding coming up. This is just, this is all my shit. This has nothing to do with that other person, because that other person, especially in this case, is highly regarded by myself and by many members of my community. And so there's a little bit of this thing coming out for me as well, where it wasn't huge, but definitely there was a little bit of like I want to say pedestalization, and that's not even right. It was simply that I held respect for this person, based on who I knew them to be, based on what I saw. And it's been, and as like new information developed and I started seeing and feeling different things, I started experiencing this pain, a lot of pain. And I reached out just over the past week, for a clearing conversation. And by email, I reached out by email. And what I got back was, pieces that I really respect and honor. What I'm experiencing on my end is needs for safety, needs to know, okay, what's going to happen in this conversation? How is it going to go? What do you like, without the way that I interpreted it, without just like dumping all of the stuff on the table, what is it that you want to bring to this conversation? Like, let me be prepared. Let me know what's going on so that I can feel safe. I totally honor that. And it just like started clicking these pieces together. It started putting the pieces in place where my felt intuition was saying something's not right here. I'm feeling angry about what's happening, like what I'm feeling angry about something in this relationship, and I don't know what. And that's the place where I gaslight myself, because I don't want to just dump my anger on him. I don't want to project my wounding onto him, because I know that some of what's coming up is my wounding. And there's a truth within that wounding. My wounding means that that's the place where I am so highly attuned to what's happening in the world outside of me. It's like, for me, this particular flavor of wounding is, especially with men or with masculine beings, regardless of what sex or gender, that I am really attuned to a certain flavor of closed-heartedness, is the word that I'll use, of a place where somebody's guarding or defending or hiding their truth, their heart, their fear, their anger, whatever it might be. They're hiding something from me, And the effect is that their heart is closed. The effect is that the intimacy in the relationship decreases and disconnection starts occurring in the relationship. And I have a deep wound around that. I've experienced that, you know, I've experienced that in ways that have been really, really painful, mostly things that I can point to way back when, you know, when I was a tiny baby, things that I felt in the world around me, and things that have cut me to the very center of my soul, incredibly painful places. And so there's wounding there that I'm actively in process and probably will always be actively in process around healing. And it also means that like my radar there is like super sensitive. So this distinction between you know, and in processing this situation with this particular person, with a couple of other of my close trusted friends, one of them said this piece. He said that your wound here means that this is where you're the most sensitive. Like essentially, your wound here is your zone of genius. It is the place where you have a gift to bring to the world. For me, it's the place where I can sense where somebody's heart is closed, where other people might not be able to pick it up, or might not just care enough to take a stand and say, like, I feel your heart's closed. What's going on? Let's talk about it. This is hurting me, and I'm not willing to have this hurt and this disconnection continue to live in our relationship. And that's a superpower of mine. I'm a stand for truth in relationship, even if it's messy, even if it's not comfortable, even if the person in front of me is totally judging me and blaming me and angry at me. My commitment to relationship is that as long as they're not like trying to dump their, like, how do I want to say it? There's a difference between open-hearted anger and closed-hearted anger. And as long as this person is on a path to showing me their heart, to showing me the pain that's living inside of them, and usually anger is what covers pain up. Pain is what generates anger oftentimes. As long as they're willing to move through that anger and show me the pain, then I will be with everything. I will receive, not receive necessarily, but be with their anger. I will be with their pain. I will be with their suffering, and I will do everything that I can in my power and in my life to be a loving, solid presence for that person. That is one of my deepest gifts. It's the essence of what I do in my private practice with my clients. I create a space where they feel safe bringing all of it. The stuff they didn't even know that was there, the stuff they've been hiding and holding on to that's creating pain for them and pain in their relationships. And the more that I own that my intuition is speaking truly, that it's not just me like barfing my wounding on the world and on the people around me, the more that I do my work to resolve that pain, so there's not as much of a backup that's going to come out when somebody triggers it, like has happened in this situation, the cleaner I can be about it, the more present and grounded I can be, the more I can trust myself, and the more I can show up. So where I'm at in this particular situation with this person is, I basically wrote back an email and said, I'm not willing to play a game of calculated relationship with you. I'm not, I honor your needs. I didn't say that specifically. I hope that came through, because that's the intention behind it. I honor your needs, and I'm not willing to fit our relationship into a box. It doesn't feel good for me. It hurts really bad. I got a little bit messy. I may have put information out there. I may have put stuff out there into the space that he didn't want, that he didn't feel he was ready for. And I put that information out there really from like a pure place is how I'm experiencing it. It feels very clean to me. I'm not putting it out there because I need or want him to take it on. I'm not trying to dump my pain on him. And I'm not doing it because I need any particular response out of him either. I'm doing it because it's my truth. And I'm giving him what I wish that he had given me. I'm giving him the truth of where I'm at, and he can make a choice. Does he want to be in a relationship with me or not? It's pretty simple. And that's one of the things that had been so painful for me with this person, is that there was like stuff in the space, and it was hurting me. I'm sure he, like from what I know, he was feeling unsafe. There may be other things going on in his experience. And I didn't quite know what was going on. So I couldn't make a clear choice of like, how do I want to be in a relationship with this person? Do I want to be in a relationship with this person? So in a way, I experience myself as having been strung along. And it's painful. Now, I can take accountability for that. My accountability there is to honor my intuition and say, hey, this doesn't feel good. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to play the game of getting strung along. So, I have a role. Yes, absolutely. I'm not blaming this person. I'm not putting it all on them. Relationship is a dance, always. I've never experienced a situation in relationship where I was feeling something and it didn't mean, and it was only me. It was only my stuff. My experience is that there's always some relationship between what I'm feeling and what's happening in the other person. They may not be willing to acknowledge it at the moment. I may not be willing to acknowledge it in the moment, but I have not experienced a single case where it has not held true. And the more that I own that, the more that I own that what I'm feeling, yes, is partially about me, but this is also is pointing to a truth within the relationship and within this person. The more fully that I can own that and bring that into the space in a way that's clean, like I said, without trying to dump my pain on them, or without trying to, without a hidden motivation to get a particular response from them. The more I can do that, the more clear everything becomes. The more intimacy gets created. The most of the people that I hold close in my life, when I reach out for a clearing conversation, they say, yes, absolutely, let's get together on the phone. And and sometimes when somebody in my life, I sense that they're closed up, I'll reach out. I'll say, hey, what's going on? Let's talk. Let's clear this up. People have reached out to me for clearing conversations, and they're uncomfortable, pretty much without exception. They can get a little bit messy. Oftentimes, sometimes they have even threatened the entire relationship. Very deep, very close relationship. They've threatened the entire thing. And when we're willing, over time, not always in the immediate, things take time to work through sometimes, but when two people show up who are willing to be engaged in what, in this email that I wrote him, what I called unfiltered intimacy, which part of that means, like, I think I project that some people might hear me say unfiltered intimacy and mean that that's a green light to just barf out anything that's happening for you. No, it's not, because if it requires a lot of discernment, and if what I'm wanting to do is barf something out onto somebody, but there's a deeper truth, which is that I'm hurting, or I'm wanting to get even with this person, or if there's grief that I'm not acknowledging, if there is a deeper truth that I'm not acknowledging, then I'm doing harm to them. That's emotional violence that I'm doing to them, basically. So unfiltered intimacy is not a green light to spew everything out that comes up. Unfiltered intimacy is an agreement, oftentimes like somewhat unspoken, but also spoken. It's a dance of how honestly can I share with this person? How deep can I drill beneath all of the layers of my experience to share what's going on with me? And how safe and inviting of a space can I be for the person in front of me to open up themselves and to drill down beneath all of the layers of their experience and really share the essence, the very essence of what's going on for them. Unfiltered intimacy, and it's what my life is devoted to, personally, professionally. And yeah, so how do I want to close this video up? I think I want to close it up by just saying, yeah, it's like what I've experienced in owning my truth in ceasing to gaslight myself and ceasing to gaslight myself around my own experience is a lot of clarity and a lot of groundedness, and actually the ability to show up and speak my truth to this person without needing anything in response. It places me in this grounded position where I feel like I'm at power in my life again, where I'm not walking around with this pain cycling inside my body and these thoughts cycling around in my head that I don't know what to do with. It grounds all of that. It resolves it. I feel present. I feel clean. I feel clear. I can make a choice of what I want to do with this relationship and clean my space up. I don't have to live in I don't have to live in like a maybe zone. I don't have to live with loose ends in my life or inside of my heart. There's a mentor of mine a few years ago, as I was just getting in, as I was just getting involved on this path, and I was having a coaching call with him, being coached by him, and he said, "Maybe we'll kill you." And it struck me profoundly. And I hold that as very true. There's places where I struggle to make clear choices one way or the other, and I suffer. And the people in my life suffer. To the extent that I'm withholding a clean yes or no from somebody is really like, in ways it can be looked at and perceived as me doing harm to them. Keeping somebody wrapped up and engaged in something that I'm not fully committed to. It can be a really painful experience for somebody else. And it hurts me to know that I have done that to other people. And I certainly have. And it hurts when other people do it to me. And it's like, to the best of my ability, I'm not willing to have that in my life. Maybe we'll kill you. Oh boy, so that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, and that's what it was. Would love to hear anything that comes up for you, any experiences in your own life where you gaslight yourself, any experiences where you have maybes in your life that are cutting at your heart, and that may be cutting at the hearts of other people that you care about. Would love to hear what you think, your thoughts or feelings on unfiltered intimacy. What comes up for you there? Anything else, please share with me. I'm like giving my heart out, and it feels so good to be able to feel your heart in return. So that would nourish me. It would make me feel good. I love you. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will talk to you next time that I do.